The One Piece live action trailer was recently revealed, and here's some of my quick thoughts, and now I'm going to expand on it. First of all, One Piece is supposed to be colorful. The cinematography looks bad and very bland. It looks fan-made, to be honest. The CGI looks bad. Luffy's main thing is supposed to be his stretching, and it just doesn't look good. But I also don't think it can ever really look good in live action. I'll explain in a second. One Piece is also not supposed to be realistic. The characters are exaggerated and the world is fantasy, colorful, and crazy. And the live action characters and the world they're in, it just looks so normal and boring. Alright, so let's dive into it a little more. Here's my main thing. There could be lots of ways for them to improve it to look better with CGI, but you would have to CGI it so much that it becomes all CGI. You know, Avatar movies, as a non-adaptation example, is how it would look when it's pretty much all CGI. You basically end up with something that's not live action, but just another animated film, which goes to show we don't need a live action for everything. Animation is its own domain, and a lot of times it just can't be translated. If it were to be adapted to live action, it would need to be warped or changed to just be its own thing. For example, let's just imagine Into the Spider-Verse came out before all other live action Spider-Man films. You don't recreate Spider-Verse into live action. You take inspiration from its premise and setting and write your own story in its own world. And then you'll end up with something like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies or the underrated Amazing Spider-Man movies. Don't believe me? Name one live action adaptation where it hasn't been a disappointment or didn't become an all CGI thing, aka another animation. Best one I've seen is Alita, which is adapted from comics, but again, you end up with something that's like completely CGI. It's impossible in most cases unless the source material is set in a realistic world with not too unrealistic animation. Something like Alice in Borderland or Beauty and the Beast. But even with those, you end up with something that's just above mid at the best, which is acceptable, but definitely not the same case for every source material, and not really like the best thing. Most source material that are animated video games or comics, they're just too creative to become live action. And it's actually a disservice to the source material to try to do that. We don't need a live action adaptation for everything just because. And big studios shouldn't be milking us by turning everything that already has a fan base and turn it into a low to mid quality live action adaptation just because they know we'll buy into it. I'm not saying that it's impossible to make a good adaptation from a source material that's set in a creative and fantastical world. I mean, although Star Wars wasn't from a source material, it has a blend of planets, crazy weapons, alien creatures, and humans. There's a lot of crazy and creative stuff right there that an anime might have. And if it were to have originated from anime as its source material, it would be considered a highly successful adaptation. As long as it's given a lot of attention and detail, it's possible to make a good-looking and successful live-action adaptation. And the truth is, a lot of the live-action adaptations we get nowadays, like almost all of them, they don't get that. They don't get that attention and detail, they don't understand it, and it just ends up becoming something not great, and that's not acceptable. Do you guys agree? Let me know in the comments, and let's discuss.